Welcome back. Let's turn our attention now to schools and the pandemic. Governor Whitmer and her team have now released the guidelines that they would like districts to follow. All the school districts across the state now trying to cobble together their own plans. But I really spent a lot of time this past week wondering how teachers feel about where we're headed. And so let's talk with three of them. Kristen Hubble is a resource room teacher at Southfield Arts and Technology High School, of course in Southfield. Janice Williams on the upper right there teaches kindergarten at Burns Elementary Middle School in the Detroit Public Schools Community District. And at the bottom, you see Mark Sobolewski is a social studies teacher at Slauson Middle School in Ann Arbor. I really appreciate all of you being here. Kristen, let me start with you. Are you eager to be, I want to talk first about how safe you all feel going back into the classroom. Kristen, let me start with you. How eager are you to get back to school?
In terms of I miss my kids so much. I miss my colleagues. Just like little everyday nuances of things that we did. But then I wonder, what is the new normal really going to look like? You know, in my classroom, we have flexible seating, kids sit in bean bags, and the way that the CDC has designed the guidelines, it makes me wonder, will this be the normal that we all remember? And is this really going to be realistic for families that are concerned about members with compromised immune systems? In general, you know, it hit our district really hard. So it's very concerning to think about our families and what they've experienced and the safety level. But I do know, you know, in terms of precautions, our district is taking every precaution to keep us safe. So those are always the things that are reassuring in this unknown territory.
Janice, you have, of course, the education equivalent of herding cats, being in charge of kindergartners. And I really wonder how that's how all of these precautions that they want you to take are going to work with the youngest of our students. But how are you feeling about heading back?
Yeah, I think that it's normal for us all to have still that fear and just uncertainty because this is unprecedented. But I would say for sure for the younger grades, the name of the game is getting them acclimated to what school is. So we're really in a good spot in that we're setting the foundation for students, especially at the K-2 level, but it's never too late. But in kinder, it'll be a lot of games around it, a lot of repetition, but it's not impossible. It's just a little difficult, and I think it'll add definitely to that, but it's not something I don't think we can accomplish.
Are you okay, Janice, with going back and being around all those kids right now?
I am looking at the plans and knowing that it's data-driven and from a point of keeping students safe. And again, that's not without fear, that's not without uncertainty, but I know that our leaders down to us as educators are doing our very best to make sure we aren't entering in a place where we have to be reactive. We're still in a position to be very proactive, and looking at the plans, I think that we can do this in a safe and practical manner.
And Mark, how are you feeling about it now as you've had a few days to think over what this plan looks like?
Same. I'm confident that our school districts are going to have our best interests and the best interests of our students and their families in mind as we plan to reopen. I'm actually kind of excited. I think that, you know, sometimes it takes a long time to get things changed and moving in education. And I'm going to take the opportunity to look at this pandemic as a positive to increasing change in education faster. I think all teachers have wanted to see movement and change in how we do things. And this may not have been the way that we all planned to go about achieving that change, but it's happening. So we need to embrace it and move forward.
Well, let me take this moment to just sort of applaud the enthusiasm that you all have for being back with your kids. That's why I love teachers, because you guys do love what you do and feel very committed to it. Kristen, but tell me a little bit now about from the kids' perspective. You know, we had the leading pediatrician group in the country last week come out to say we got to get kids back to school because this is what they need socially for their own development, their own mental health.
It's really funny because, you know, high school students are very blunt normally. And when there's lots of snow days, they typically share, oh, yay, we can't wait to be out of school. And I have had hundreds of texts and helping students on Zoom and consulting and kids saying, this is not for me. This distance learning, it's just not the same as having an adult be right in front of me to give me the accommodations, to give me the physical strategies. I want to be at school. And then when you think of the things that they've had to miss out on, the sports clubs, the after school activities, the things that, especially, you know, the senior class that just graduated, Now the juniors stepping into seniorhood and wondering, what does this mean for my whole entire school year, not just most of it. So the kids want to come back, but they want to know that they don't have to be afraid to come back. So I think building that sense of community is so important. And in our district personally, we've done a tremendous job doing that through our distance learning plan. And just like both of my cohorts said here, continuing to be a part of that change that we have all been longing for so long. And we can kind of make a good situation out of a bad situation to really activate that.
Janice, it's interesting. You were talking about wanting to, you have such young kids who need to learn what school is all about and learn to love school, but you're also now at the vanguard of teaching this new group of students how maybe we all are going to have to act in public and around each other for the near who knows how long, but this new way of interacting with each other that is kind of a little bit less in people's face and less physical contact. How are you planning on addressing that with such young kids?
I think, again, it's facing it head on, right? It's making it a norm and practice and procedure in everything that we do. So kindergarten would be definitely a grade level that is very hands-on, a lot of tangible practice. And it's not to say that we remove or do away with the things that help students to learn and grasp certain concepts, but it's saying we do those same things and we increase what we talk about in terms of hygiene and wearing a mask. It's not about removing the core and heart of what being an educator is or being a student in a school is, but it's doing it in a very smart and sensible way. And again, looking at my district's plan, looking at the state's plan versus those two plans, it can be done. And there's thought behind how it can be done. It's not just saying, here, try this, but it's here, try this, and here are the steps and tools and money and training to do it. So I think we definitely can accomplish it.
I sure hope so. Mark, one of the guidelines that's been talked about quite a bit already is that from 6th grade through 12th grade, they want kids to be in masks all the time. Most of us who've been wearing masks, we do it in short bursts. We go to the grocery store, we go to a gas station. Asking somebody to wear a mask for hours at a time is a taller order. I'm wondering how reasonable you think that is, especially to ask of young people.
Well, as a social studies teacher, we are constantly talking about the common good. So I plan to address all of the changes that we're going to have to endure as a part of my daily lessons that I would normally teach about the common good and civic duty. It's going to be challenging. I know in the plan that I just saw from our school district, there are opportunities in the different phases for not wearing masks, especially if we're practicing social distancing in classroom situations with a smaller number of students. Students may be able to take off masks and teachers in those situations, but we are going to be requiring students to wear masks in any situation where there's in common areas or passing time where larger bodies of students are going to be mixing together.
Yeah, interesting. Kristen, I'm curious, are you worried about kids coming back being ready to move on to the next grade given the way things went in the last 2 to 3 months of the school year?
I will say that, because we had a plan that was adaptable, flexible, and it was very simple to deliver, we were able to determine anyway in our department being of the support service, where are kids at? We did distance learning plans and each case manager reached out personally to every family so that we could also develop reintegration plans to know where those students were. That being said, we had developed 3 tiers, one being the foundational saying we just need to focus on basic needs. The second being the supplemental where we're actually supplementing the gaps in the instruction. And then the third being that new learning because they are ready to learn on. I do know that there are many students who were working in the family because of a death or the parent was unemployed. We had several scenarios of hardship in our district. So in that way, I do expect there to be learning gaps. But knowing that there was a pandemic and knowing that we do have this core data on our students, I think will be very helpful to design differentiated plans to serve everybody in our community.
Yeah, I got to leave it there, gang. I would feel great if my kids were in any of your hands. You've all been really, really thoughtful about this. I so appreciate it. I love, Mark, the idea of folding that into the lesson. That is part of today, is how we need to let other people rely on us and rely on them for pretty good civic behavior. Thanks, you guys, and good luck in the school year. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.